Okay, you guys, I'm back and we're going to go ahead and start again on lesson 5, using the identity and the inverse to write equivalent expressions. You can take a look at it and see what they did, but basically what they are telling us is that if you add the inverse, you will get 0. So 2 plus minus 2 is 0. Minus 4 minus minus 4, you have 3 minuses, so that flips it around and makes it 0. The difference of 5 and 5. So 5 minus 5, now normally 5 minus 5 equals 0, right? But we are going to do the opposite side of the equation to prove that. So 5 minus 5 equals 5 plus minus 5 equals 0. Okay, so the sum of a number and its additive inverse is equal to 0. If we add or subtract, 16 plus 0 is 16. Minus 16 plus 0 is minus 16. Okay, let's move on. So 0 minus 7 is minus 7. 0 plus minus 7 equals minus 7. Minus 4 plus 0 is minus 4. So 0 plus anything is that number, whether it's minus or plus, whether it's negative or positive. Okay, 0 plus d is d. So d is an unknown number, but we're representing it with d, so that means it's going to be the same number if it's plus 0. The sum of any quantity and 0 equals the same quantity. Okay, number E is a challenge that I have 2. I have 2, and I'm going to add 10 numbers to it. And at the end of adding those 10 numbers, it's going to equal 2. The only number that I could have possibly added 10 times to 2 was 0. It was 0. V has to equal 0, because if I add any other number to it, it's going to be higher than 2. Now, if I subtract it, I might be able to get back to 2, but if I'm only adding, the only way that it will equal 2 is if those numbers are 0. Okay. So if we write the sum and the equivalent expression by collecting like terms and removing parentheses. So 2x and means to plus, means to add, minus 2x plus 3. 2x plus minus 2x plus 3. We can collect the like terms. 2x and 2x are 0. So now it's just 0 plus 3 equals 3. 2x minus 7, and we need to add the opposite of 2x, so minus 2x. We know that the opposite of 2x is minus 2x. So 2x plus minus 7 plus 2x. That's our original problem right here. 2x plus minus 2x, collecting like terms, these two would equal 0, plus minus 7. 0 plus minus 7 is 7. The opposite of 5x minus 1, and which means plus 5x. Minus 5x plus 1 plus 5x. That's our original problem. Minus 1 times 5x minus 1 plus 5x. Taking the opposite is equivalent to multiplying by 1. Remember that. So that's what we've done. Multiplying by minus 1, minus 1. Okay. So our minus 1 cancels out our minus 1. And it just becomes 1. Because 2 negatives equal a positive. So 1 times 1 is 1 because it's times 1. minus 1 times minus 1 is 1 because it cancels out the negative. Minus 5x plus 1 plus 5x. So, combine like terms. This equals 0. Then we just have plus 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay, once again, the exercises. There's the answers if you need to use them. And those answers, if you need to use them, pause the video and you can take a look. Okay, example 2. So we're looking at the problem here and we see something. 3/4 times 4/3 equals 1. Notice that they are reversed. They are reversed. 4 times 1/4 equals 1. 1/4 is the opposite of 4. 1/9 is the opposite of 9, and it equals 1. Minus 1/3 times minus 3 equals 1. Notice something. The signs do not change. If you have minuses, they stay minuses. If you have positives, they stay positives. Okay, so minus 6/5 times minus 5/6 equals 1. So what we're noticing here is the two things that we are using the opposite of each number and multiplying them. That equals 1. But we are also keeping our signs on those numbers the same. This is called a reciprocal. These equations are using the reciprocal of the number to prove the number. Okay, now we're going to do some multiplication. So what you just did with 0 is the exact same thing with 1 for multiplication. Now, in multiplication, if you times anything times 0, it is 0. But if you times anything by 1, it is the number. Okay? So, with that in mind, the multiplication inverse of 1/5 and 2x minus 5 is 5 times 2x minus 5. That's our original problem. 5 times 2x minus 5 times 1/5. 5 times 2 is 10. We have 10x minus 1. We can't go any further than that because 1 is not 1x. So that's the end of our problem. Remember that. If you have a number next to a variable or an unknown quantity, and then you have another number that's not next to one, you can't add them together or subtract them from each other. You have to find out what this variable is first, and that's algebra, so we'll save that and not go into it yet. You'll do that much later. The multiplicative inverse of 2 and 2x plus 4. So 2, the inverse of 2 is 1/2 times 2x plus 4. 1/2 times 2x plus 1/2 times 4. 1/2 times 2x is 1x. 1/2 times 4 is 2. Why did we do these two times each other? Well, this is times 2, and it's also times 4 because we have these in parentheses. So then we have x plus 2. Because 1x plus 2, 1x is just x. Okay. This is another exercise. I'll go ahead and show you the answers here so that you can use them to study. And we're going to go ahead and close the lesson. Additive inverse and multiplicative inverse are two opposites. The sum of the additive inverse equals 0. The product of the multiplicative inverse equals 1. So, as I said, in multiplication, anything times 1 is that thing. 6 times 1 is 6. Minus 6 times 1 is minus 6. In addition, the same thing is done, but with 0. 6 plus 0 is 0. Minus 6 plus 0 is also, 6 plus 0 is 6. Minus 6 plus 0 is also minus 6. Okay, you guys, your problem set for this lesson is due Wednesday.